It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. We are talking Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 17. This is considered the finale, but really this is the sit down with Karen Huger. That's right. Karen, the Grande Dame, has come home. And it wasn't what I actually expected. You know what I mean? But before we get into it, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. We are recapping The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 17. Karen is home. So, this was a little bit different of a finale because this is really the sit down with Andy Cohen. It opens up with Karen leaving Montgomery County Detention Center. And this was in September 2025. She looked pretty good, I have to say. She had a little bit of a swag walk to her. Did you notice that? A little bit of hop in her step. She gets into the SUV. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that the way she treated the SUV driver. I mean, the way she spoke to him about, putting the window up and down, like maybe, I don't know, maybe she was nervous, or she was like putting the window down so that she could wave to some of her fans there that were waiting for her to come out. I don't know. I just didn't like it. That's all. She gets home and her daughter is waiting for her sister is waiting for her, and of course, Ray. She is so excited to see them. Can you imagine? I would be too. They were commenting on her hair, and I really like this. So she explained that the women in the detention center, I guess, took their hair out and braided it within her hair so that, like she said, they had to put Miss Karen together, And look, she looked good. She really did. She looked good. So I thought that was a nice touch. She says to her daughter that she couldn't have done it without her. She thanks her sister. And, she also made a comment about how she enjoyed dating Ray through the window, the glass window, which I thought was kind of nice. You know what I mean? But right away, she starts talking about how she found a purpose. Like there were these young inmates in there that were just like, her the ages of her children, if not younger. And she found her purpose. You hear Ray say that too later on, which I found interesting. So a week later, Daddy of Bravo comes in. You know who I'm talking about, Andy Cohen. And he arrives at the house. He's first greeted by Ray. Ray is like, she's a little different, but in a good way. He then sees Karen, gives her a big hug. He asks her if she got her, he must have sent like a card or a letter or something. And she said, oh, yeah, I did. They put it through the scanner. And Andy was like, oh, no, because I sprayed it with La Dame perfume, that's so sweet. Like, I would have never thought about that. That was sweet. Um, so he walks over. Her son is there now, Brandon. Andy makes the comment, like, how come we never get you on camera? He's like, I'm a busy man. But he took on the responsibility of overseeing Karen's businesses. That's what, how he helped out. She hadn't really been picking up the phone, because she hasn't had one. So she's really leaning into a higher power, is what she said. I did notice that her hair was done. Her nails were done by the time Andy arrived. She looked good, refreshed. She looked really, really good. So they go to sit down, and she says to Andy, look, I've been to hell, He's like, well, let's talk about the video. Now, if you recall the video that went viral, which was crazy, she says that she didn't watch it. She refused to allow Ray to watch it. Obviously, her attorneys had watched it, and that's why they were, trying to get her to not go to trial, basically, because, that video was so horrendous. I mean, it really was the nail in the coffin there. She then explains that when she just couldn't watch it, which I understand. But Ray's a grown man. I mean, how are you keeping him from watching it when it's all over the internet? More or less, if that was my kids, and I was looking at prison time, and the attorneys were saying, I don't think we should go to trial. This video is really, really bad for you. My children would want to see it. My girls would be like, let me take a look at this video before it even, went public. So I'm not buying that, to be honest. That's a big inconsistency in the story there. Karen also talks about, remember, she went to a rehabilitation center in Florida before her sentencing, and her therapist is the one who made her watch it. Now remember, this is before sentencing. And that she was absolutely devastated when she saw the video. However, again, another inconsistency is that she said, I was really surprised. Like, I thought maybe I would do a month, 3 tops. After you saw that video, if that was me, I would have thought, oh no, like, I'm going to be in here for 20 years. That's how bad that video was, Again, I'm just not buying it. You know what I mean? She also explains that 20 years ago is when she had received another DUI. She also had 2 other alcohol-related issues. We don't know what. Was it DUIs and they were just, she got off? I don't know. They don't go into detail about it. There was 4 total. She's also explaining that that's 20 years ago. That's when Ray started saying to her that, I think you need help, which makes sense. that's when she received her first DUI. Usually when somebody does receive a DUI, the first question asked, do you need help? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't seem too off. Karen's explaining that it's when her mom and dad died, because remember, they died back to back. I mean, that was really rough, is when she started abusing her antidepressant. And she wouldn't go into detail about exactly what medication it was, because apparently, which I didn't know this, she could be sued. Did you know that? I did not know that. Andy again addresses the fact that, what were you thinking? Because she said, I would never drink and drive. He's like, but you did that night. And she says, yeah, but I was running from home. I wasn't happy. The kids were gone. The house was like a tomb. She got out early. And why she got out early is apparently every inmate is afforded the opportunity to kind of work their time off. And she worked her time off by working with the younger inmates. I got the impression maybe with alcohol, drug-related issues, because Andy asked, like, what qualifies you to do that? But that's how she worked her time off, which I found really interesting, because this is brought up a couple times, where she found her purpose, and she's working with the younger inmates. And I can remember a friend of mine who went to rehab, and she did the same thing. She was always giving advice and taking on like other people's problems and trying to help them solve them, and how they wouldn't get back in the situation that they were in. And her therapist said that she's really good at that, because then she doesn't have to face her own issues. I'm not saying that that's Karen's thing, but it just reminded me of that, because we heard it a couple times where, she found a purpose, and this is how she worked her time to get out for an early release. You know what I mean? Hi everyone, Cece Ray here. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite, and I do mean favorite, websites for savings, and we all love savings. It is called Morning Save, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so see this? Now, I'm showing you this for a reason, okay? This is Dermalactives. It's a 7-in-1 LED light therapy mask. Now, you and I both know you can't find this for less than $100 anywhere, okay? I bought this for $39. Matter of fact, I bought one for my daughter too, and I bought it for $39 at Morning Save. Now, they not only just have beauty products, I mean, they have everything from fashion, home interior, organization, even sometimes cleaning supplies. But there is a catch. If you find something on that website and you don't buy it immediately, it could be gone, just like that, because they only have so much inventory, and when it's sold out, it's sold out. So make sure you visit Morning Save, go to the link in my description down below, and start all of your incredible savings. But Karen is also talking about the fact that she really believed that her issues started when she was 19. Remember, she was sexually assaulted, And, you know, that really started the issues. She's owning up to the fact that she was abusing her medication. But what I found interesting is that when when she's talking about the alcohol aspect, she says, I had a drinking problem. Not I have. I had a drinking problem. And even Andy at one point says, like, do you consider yourself an alcoholic? Karen's like, I consider myself in a lifetime of recovery, but I am not an alcoholic. Like, and that treatment will always go on, basically. I don't think she actually came out with, I'm not an alcoholic, but that's the idea that she was giving. Let's put it that way. She does go to meetings. She goes to NA, not AA. Okay. Andy asked her, what was it like? What was your day-to-day like? She said, well, she wore a beige jumpsuit. She thought it was kind of cute. She missed holding her daughter's hand, which I thought was so precious. She had her own cell, and in her cell was her own toilet, just a steel toilet. So what she did is she took maxi pads and she put them all on the top of the toilet, I guess for cushion, or maybe it wasn't so cold. But that's what she did. Her day started, she would wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Breakfast was at 5. Then she was in class till lunch. She worked out in the afternoon. Dinner was at 4:30. And then I think she went to sleep at like 8:45 or 9:45 is when lights were out. She did not watch last year's reunion. So Andy now shows her a few clips from last year's reunion. One of them basically was the women just totally upset with the fact they really believed that she was getting the wrong legal advice. Who would advise her to go to a public trial when this video is out? And Karen's like, look, I'm not mad at that. I mean, her attorneys did suggest her not to go to trial, but she had not seen the video. The other thing that came out of that was that Wendy felt excluded. Karen had been on this thank you tour and basically thanked everyone, including Andy Cohen, but did not thank Wendy. And Karen didn't hesitate on that answer. She was like, Wendy knows why. And I think that's a conversation that Wendy and I will have to have. Andy asked if she felt supported by the other ladies. She said yes. Giselle was great at reaching out. She said at one point or another, all the ladies had reached out except for Wendy. Andy said that he got a lot of questions from the viewers, wondering if she should not be brought back to this platform, and what does she think of that? She's like a second chance, She's like, I don't know if I should. Now, I have an opinion on this because, look at Teresa with Real Housewives of New Jersey. We halted filming. They halted filming till she got out of prison. So, if you want to highlight second chances, there you go. You know what I mean? He was asking, like, do you blame the show or anything like that? She said, absolutely not. She felt as though the show had saved her. It gave her purpose. It occupied her time. It gave her routine, which I could see, for sure I could see that. And again, she says, I was sick. I had the disease of alcoholism, past tense. Andy also says, like, I guess in the scope of things, basically, petty drama doesn't really seem that important anymore, And she says, look, I'm not the same. I'm better for it. She said, you can ask Ray, it's like having a stranger in the house. She said, but now if we decide not to be together, he will let me go. But we are a work in progress, she says, and they have no other choice but to live in reality. Andy says, look, most people who have gotten sober, when they were going through the process, they somehow realized that this was just a Band-Aid on whatever was going on. And she said, listen, when I had my soul ripped out at 19, I just shut down and I just plowed through and kept going. And she never really confronted what had really happened to her. She said that she was in denial. But, she's had this revelation that she has to forgive Karen. And she looks forward to whatever the future for Karen is, which I thought was great. She also stated that anybody with addiction, she highly recommends that they seek help. I just found it kind of interesting. There was inconsistencies in her story, especially about the video. I also found it interesting that she never actually said she was an alcoholic. She said, I was sick. I had alcoholism, all past tense. She doesn't go to AA, she goes to NA. I'm wondering if she sees this more as a social thing, as in, like, I don't want to, say I'm an alcoholic because then socially everybody will be giving me a side eye if I happen to have a drink. Or maybe she really doesn't believe she has a problem. I don't know. But I found that kind of interesting, that everything was past tense. But that's pretty much where the interview ended. So after that, we see, the trailer coming out for the reunion. Hold on to your seats. It's going to be a doozy, and I do mean a doozy. Whatever Monique, with her cell phone, is showing Stacy, I'm dying to know what it is. Dying. Oh, and by the way, Jazzy comes out with this little bit of information of how Kay apparently stole Greg from his wife. I don't know what wife they're talking about, but did anybody know that Stacy Rush was married to Greg? Yeah, I think that must have went completely over my head or something. But yeah, they were married a long time ago, but they were married. So is Jazzy talking about Stacy? This is going to be so good. But it's not coming till February 15th, so we have a couple weeks to wait, but I am excited for it. So what did you guys think? What did you think about the interview with Karen? It was good to see her back on the screen. I certainly did miss her. I mean, can you imagine if she was in Colorado? But the inconsistencies of her story, the way she put everything in past tense, I don't know. It's just not sitting right with me, to be honest. I mean, and I certainly am not saying I'm walking in her shoes, but it certainly is not sitting right. What do you think about the reunion coming up? Excited? Oh, I'm so excited. But did you know that Stacy and Greg were married? I'm telling you, this must have went right over my head, because I had no idea. But I'm looking forward to the tea. What about you? Oh, and let's not even start about the Yosefos. You know what I mean? I mean, these two are kicking it up in the green room, and Giselle and Ashley are like, they're acting like nothing's going on here. I mean, they do have some major, major charges against them. So what do you think? I'm excited. What about you? All right, make sure you put a comment down below. Start that conversation. And you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.